All right, we are live.
All right, we are recording. So, good evening. Thank you guys for being here. My name is Adam Shenovar. If you don't know me, that's who I am. We're doing an Instructor 2 project tonight. You guys are my audience. I got 17 of you here, so we're going to spin the camera around. I think I counted 17. So minimum was 5, we got 17. So thank you guys very much. It means a lot to me that you're here and going through this with me. So the course is making the call because your life depends on it. Okay? It's about Mayday. As I kind of talked earlier with you guys, it's about Mayday. We're going to find out how do you call a Mayday, when do you call a Mayday, and we're also going to take a look at some statistics that involve Mayday related incidents, firefighter deaths, and injuries. There's some pretty interesting, like I said, there's pretty interesting information in the slides about it. A little bit about me. I've got a little over 20 years in the fire service. I started out as just a junior fireman, like 13 years old, like several other people in here did. Currently a lieutenant with Farmington here, obviously. 9 years, I spent 9 years at Mineral Area College teaching with them. 5 of them, I was a lead instructor for Firefighter 1 and 2. So it's kind of been my passion. Instructor 2 was something that I did a long time ago and never did finish it. So this is kind of a big deal for me tonight to be able to finish this. This is like my last project I got to do for the course. And then I work part-time for Festus Fire some too. So that's me in a nutshell. Oh, yes, went too far already. Fail. Synopsis. So the target audience for this course is anyone who is involved in emergency activities. The course is designed to increase awareness of both career and volunteer firefighters who may be required to call a Mayday and or respond to a Mayday incident. So just because you're not an interior firefighter maybe on your department, or you're just a driver, you're not just a driver, right? So try to get that attitude that everybody's got a role, and when something bad happens, everybody takes on a new role and participates in this event. Course objectives. So these are some things that we're going to be able to cover and be able to do when we're done. So the student will be able to define a Mayday situation at the completion of this course without error. The student given a set of options will be able to identify why firefighters fail to or delay calling a Mayday within 30 seconds. Students given a set of scenarios will be able to recite Mayday decision-making parameters and calling procedures 9 out of 10 times. The student shall be able to list at least 4 Mayday training and drill needs for the fire service with 100% accuracy. Okay, students given a scenario will be able to demonstrate the process of calling a Mayday without error. I didn't start the timer. Students given the information from this lesson shall be able to explain the acronym LUNAR and UCAN. And we're going to talk about the 2 different types of acronyms that we can use to actually call a Mayday. And then finally, students given examples will be able to list various methods for self-rescue with 70% accuracy. All right, why are we here? One thing I like to present to people, especially this, is why are you here? Are you here because your chief said, come on, we're going to this class? Or are you here because you're on shift and the captain says you're going to sit in on it? Either way, I don't care. You're here, right? We're all here. We're all getting this information. For me, it's more than just being here and teaching with you guys just because it's Instructor 2. I genuinely enjoy sharing information and spreading it to other people. Because when it comes down to it, I'm here for my family. I'm here for these guys, the crews that we work on, and their families. At the end of the day, obviously, we all want to go home, right? After the call, everybody wants to go home. That's the goal, okay? But it's not just about me. It's about you and you and you and whoever else is on that incident with me. I'm thinking about your family and your life, okay? So that's ultimately why I'm here, and I would hope that you're in the same boat. You're here because you want to be better and you want to prepare yourself and be better for those around you. Well, let's talk a little bit about what is a Mayday. Yeah. All right, so it's a French term. Anybody speak French in here? Anybody take French in high school? What is the word?
Mayday.
Mayday. Thank you. So French term, Mayday. Was the idea of this guy here, Frederick Mockford, who's a senior radio officer at the Croydon Airport in London. And it means help me, right? We kind of knew that. Yeah, they adopted it in 1923 at the International Radio Telegraph Convention as a distress call. So he kind of came up with this idea as a radio operator sitting in a chair. Man, there needs to be something that if somebody needs help, we need one term that's simple and everybody can recite it. So the international radio language that they come up with was Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. And it means life is in danger, immediate help. Okay? So not rush traffic, not emergency traffic. If you find yourself in a Mayday situation, it's Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Okay? Black Sunday. Who's familiar with Black Sunday? Awesome. Some people are not. That's great. So, Black Sunday was a series of events that happened in New York City. They actually had two different incidents that day that resulted in deaths. This one is the one that's always talked about. It's the one I want to open with because it's an awesome example of how radio traffic is going to sound, how chaotic it's going to be, and the reality is that we had 6 firefighters that were involved in this incident that had a Mayday situation. 2 of them died. I believe 1 is now. Is there a third, Josh? You know?
I have to look again. I think somebody died later on.
Yeah, I thought so
Way down the
too.
road.
Yeah, years later.
There's one with a spinal cord injury, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So just a quick backstory on it before I start the audio and on it. It was January. They had just had a blizzard that come through the city, and so operations were slow getting there. They had some water problems, getting water in the hose. And in big cities like this, engine companies and truck companies and rescues, they all have a particular set of tasks that they do. So like if you're the engine company, all you're worried about is stretching a line into a building and putting water on a fire. Now if you're a truck company, you got a totally different mission. You're searching for people, searching for fire, you're ventilating. Same goes for the rescue. So with that being said, these guys were made up of truck, and obviously it looks like at least a rescue guy or 2. They went up to search. They were looking for fire and looking for victims. The primary was victims. Fire was on the 3rd floor of a multi-story building. They went up without a hand line, which is not uncommon in big cities like this where they have a lot of manpower. They went up to the floor above the fire. That's their first concern. Okay? So they're searching this building. What they didn't know at the time was that the building had been constructed under illegal activity. They didn't pull permits to create these apartments that they had built inside this building. So it had all these cut up apartments that were just very difficult to access. It caused them a lot of disorientation because of the layouts. So listen to the audio, and then on the next slide we'll take a look at some pictures that'll kind of bring it all together and make sense of what we were hearing as far as where they were at. You guys hear me back?
A fire into the hallway on the floor above. You can line upstairs. Hey, why did you come in? You gotta get a hold of the roof before the sheriff goes down on everybody. The major's coming to the Mayday message. Yeah, who's the Mayday? The member from 2712 is not here. So the mask has been lowered so we can remember with them. But we need to get a hole in the roof. You go up another, we'll come back here half an Good morning. Hold up on the windows. Hold up on the windows, you got people on the front door escape. If it's not one to sit on all the other side of the roof, back out to the stairway, back out to the stairway. You got the windows on the top floor. What's that make it for you? How you gonna get on the line? Cars on the roof. You're gonna need to send the roof over the side. Roof saying send the roof over the side. And the church force up to the building. 27th division. You need the line on the 2.5 smoking. And jump 4. Okay, accept the division. Rescue hooks to rescue Mayday. Get ahead, boys. Get ahead, Mayday. What's your location? Hurry up. Keep radio silence. I need water in that 2.5-inch line. 48 inch water. There's a 2.5-inch line. Get the rope, to the rope, rope, to the rope. 35 in the rear, 35 in the rear. Rope for the rope, 35 in the rear. Get that data rope on the rope. Top floor, those are the top floor, Patty. Major 7, 10 floor. Major 7, 2 on 1159 finish shirt. Rope on the rope. We got guys in the rear window, okay? Mayday, 5, 6, engine out, go. Do fire down in the rear. Do fire down in the rear. Also, we got 75 points above. Mayday, 2 fire in the top floor in the rear. We need them. What they brought it? Now for, show them the signs up, we got a whole company in the rear there. To the land now. Let's see you. You don't know, you got it. Rope for the rope there. Mayday, in the rear. You got it. Go. Put the rope there. Lower the guy in the rope all the way down. A whole company just jumped out of the rear, Canadian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jump in the rear. We need massive EMS here. Massive A-train. That's what I've already notified EMS. They're calling a bunch of buses, okay? Search towards them, and how are we making out with that line now? If be advised, 48 just bringing their line up now. I'm gonna try to go back upstairs. 10 floor.
What's your initial takeaway from this?
A lot of chaos on the radio. Instead of like typically now, when there's a mayday call,
Everybody-
traffic stops.
Everything drops.
So we're going to talk about that specific point, and it's in that handout too. All right, so those are issues that are very common, that have been studied and looked at. Is one of the number one issues anytime there's a Mayday event like this is communications. We're going to lose our minds. People are going to want to talk on the radio, and people are going to get hurt. I don't know how long it was. I've never sat down and counted, minutes or seconds, whatever, before they finally got the true message of their Mayday out. But there's just so much going on. So something to think about when you're on that next fire and you're getting ready to key up the radio is what I'm about to say, even necessary. Because if something goes down right now and I'm yakking about tongue groove sealing and it's going to be a tough one, we need all the packs we can. Is it necessary? Probably not, right? So think about that. Next slide, we're going to show, like I said, kind of a drawing of what exactly happened. So top left, that's the back side of the building. Remember I said it was 4 stories? It jumped 5. Because the way the terrain was on this building, it sloped away from the street. So in the back, there's actually a subgrade, below grade part of the building here. So they were on the top, but it turned out to be 5 stories where they actually jumped out of. The bottom left here is where they landed. There's nothing good about landing on that. And then the top right is actually out of the NIOSH report that they did following this incident. Kind of gives a drawing, a diagram of where everybody was at, what the fire was doing. It broke through, and stairs are all the way back here. So, I mean, they're as far away from the stairs as they could get. And we have fire that's broke through the floor in every direction that they need to go to the stairs. So, what's your option, right? Jump. Yeah. Jump. If you've got a bailout kit, maybe you have the opportunity to use that. Again, we're five stories up. It might get us halfway down, right? So, we kind of separated one, two of them in one room, and a couple here, a couple there. But if you ever get the chance to dive into that and listen to a guy by the name of Jeff Cool, he was one of the members that was involved that day. He is alive, and he's done some really good interviews and things like that to explain that day and just some struggles that they had within the department even that might have helped that day. So I won't get into it tonight, but another one, not that long ago, pretty close to home, West Peculiar. You might remember this one. January 5th of 2020. This was a firefighter EMT medical site. He was 30 years old. He'd been on the job 3 weeks with this fire department. He fell through the first floor and into a basement. It took about 30 minutes to locate him due to being covered with debris. Covered with debris is another one that I had to do a report on. Part of a discussion forum that I had to take part of in this the process of Instructor 2 was pick a NIOSH report, read it, summarize it, yada, yada, yada. Well, I knew of one from a guy that I kind of think highly of and follow a lot. So I dove into that one, and same thing. Guy gets lost from his crew, whatever, and they find him like 45, 50 minutes later, and he's under a bunch of rubble. So collapses, after the fact aren't helping get our people out. This is a picture of him and his family, and that's the picture of the house. What do you think of that house? What does it make you think of?
Normal everyday house fire.
That's right. That looks exactly like something that we've all been to right here in St. Francis County. It looks like probably a modular on a basement. Simple. You walk up to that is a simple fire probably. But we don't know the circumstances. The guy falls through the floor. So, why is calling a mayday such a problem? A couple options up here. So, first thing is we have no national standards. There's no national standards across the board for mayday. Okay? There's no specific parameters or rules. Nobody comes on to the fire department and says, okay, here's your mayday rules and regulations. Read them and be familiar with them. There's none of that. Okay? We don't teach it. That's something that's been missed. Mayday and RIT, I think, two things that go together, and they don't get taught a lot. We miss out on that. And we have no system that outlines when to call a mayday. We don't have a slicer of mayday, if you will, or a VEIS of the mayday world. So that's why we have to teach this stuff, go to trainings when they come up, and be prepared for when it happens. And the truth of it is, mayday is 90% mental and 10% physical. There's nothing physically hard about calling for a mayday. We're pushing a button and talking. Provided that we can get to a button, that's all you're doing. The other side of it, 90% mental, is getting yourself to realize, oh my God, this is bad, I need help. If you're ever in that situation, you'll know what I mean. So we have to adopt this attitude of survival. Okay? We have to accept the fact that things can go terribly wrong on the fire ground and take every opportunity to prepare for and train for the emergency before it happens. So a lot of times we train on the same old stuff because it's fun. Maybe we do extrication or we pull hose lines, whatever. This is all great. But as I said before, this stuff gets forgotten. And how do we react on the fire ground, to a situation? How do I know how to take that hose and get it to the front door? Yeah, it's training, right? We're training, we're building muscle memory to do that action, just like riding a bike. You don't know how to ride a bike when you learn, but once you get to riding the bike part down, you can put that bike away for 3 years. You come back to it, be a little wobbly, but you're going to ride the bike. Same thing. If you don't have any muscle memory, no training for any particular situation that we do, who knows what's going to happen? You're not going to know what to do. We kind of adopt this little, we have in our heads that, oh, it won't happen here. It's not going to happen to me. This is just Farmington, or this is just Doe Run. Like, we don't go that many fires anyway, right? So we got this mindset that it's not a big deal. Out of sight, out of mind. Well, it's probably going to happen. At some point in time, if you stay in this field of business long enough, it's probably going to happen. And if you're anything like most of us in here, you want to be in the mix. You want to be doing stuff, right? You want to be in the action. Well, that's where action finds you, is in the action. Anybody recognize the top right?
Doe Run?
Yeah.
Yeah, up off of, is it Cochran Road?
I don't remember. But, yeah. Main entry is the door. What's going on here?
Yep.
So this dormer's falling in, right? That was not that way when we went in. Flames were not here when we went in. And we're inside up here at the top thinking, yeah, we're getting it, we're doing it. We're opening the walls, there's fire everywhere. Yeah, this is what dreams are made of. And meanwhile, no, it is turned bad, bad, very bad. Right? Very well could have been a Mayday situation. Bottom left, same thing. Roll a fire truck, it'll change your thinking. When the day that something happens to you, you will start thinking and you will start feeling completely different when you go to responses in the vehicles, when you're on the scene. It is going to open your eyes. And hopefully that if you have to endure a Mayday event, that you will live through it and be able to learn from it. So I'll ask you this. Have you ever been faced with a personal emergency on the fire ground? Maybe you were lost or out of air, anything like that. Who's got something? Shirley, right? A few of us, I know for sure because I know your stories. Anybody recognize that house on the left? And the right? Park Hill. That is your classic Park Hill story and a half. So that's our Mayday, me and Dave Chilton. Many of you know the story, but I'll give you the quick of it for those that don't. Me and Dave Chilton get there, Pratt says, I'll give you 5 minutes. I took that as a challenge, right? Somebody tells you you got 5 minutes to make a difference, oh, I'm making the difference. I'm gonna be that guy. Get in there, ceiling's good, start poking, it's solid, tongue and groove construction. We know that we got to get to the half story. Okay? So Dave goes back to grab more hose. I find stairs, go up to the top of the stairs. Sure enough, fire's everywhere. Perfect. Come back down. I'm going to meet Dave and say, hey man, let's go. And on the way back down, what sounds like a tornado and a hurricane mixed together happens, and the right side of this roof of this house collapses in. So, like I said, quick of it is we lost a hose line. Ceiling's now about right here with fire above us, and we're good. Dave didn't get trapped. I didn't get trapped. We're just stuck now, and we weren't pinned by anything. It was the way that we came in. Our exit was now blocked by this entire ceiling, and it was a wild deal. So there I have this, what the heck just happened going on in my head, trying to just process. Like, I'm alive, you're alive. What's wrong? There ain't nothing wrong. But then you got the radio part of it. So the guy on the outside's hollering for you, and I'm just trying to process what is going on. Give me a second to think, man. And before I could even call the Mayday or say, hey, this is what's up, we need help, they had already initiated a Mayday for us. So then it was, okay, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Told them just some basic information. Hey, 2 firefighters. There was a collapse. We're trapped in the middle of the house. We're trying to find our way out. And that's what we were doing. We were doing circles around each other. And Chilton, of all people, found a hole. So the hole led us to a kitchen. and we went out a kitchen window. Probably like 2 minutes of my life, it felt like 30. Anybody heard of Project Mayday? Anybody heard this guy's name? Don Abbott? You might have heard it last November. He ended up passing away, this guy. All right, great. We're going to learn something. So Don Abbott is a man that was in the fire service for a long while. Excuse me. And he came up with the idea to do a study over firefighter injuries and maydays. Excuse me. So he completed the study in 2015. So keep in mind these numbers are from like 14, 15 time frame. Okay, I would bet to think that they're probably not too different as far as the statistics in them. But it covers tasks that were being performed, location and nature of the maydays that he was studying, occupancy types, and firefighter personal stats. And as we break this down, I think it's the kind of the meat and potatoes of what we're doing here that is really going to spark your interest to see, wow. So, I thought it was going to be this age group of people that were getting into trouble. And really, no, it's this one. So it's got that kind of stuff. So the first one we'll look at is the task being performed. So out of all the maydays that he had studied, 146 of them were related to search, rescue, and fire control, so 50%. The next bulk was ventilation. After that, they had search and rescue, and that was search and rescue without the hose line. Okay, because there's a lot of places that do that. You have enough personnel to do that. You had 26 in overhaul and 3 in outside support. So don't know what those folks were doing, but it does happen. Stuff can happen. Walls can collapse, chimneys can collapse, heart attacks, things like that. People go down outside. Location or the nature. So this one is pretty interesting to me, and I'm gonna have to be careful not to get on a soapbox. So fall or trapped in a basement. So they fell and they got trapped in a basement. 67, so 23%. The next one right below it is fall through a roof. 22%. There's three bodies difference. So for me, so for the longest time, I think that we've kind of gotten away from this idea and this concept of putting people on a roof to ventilate a roof.